Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Draft is coming up. Browns got 2 first-round picks, McNuggets, but right now, we still have no clue who they're going after. A lot of guys, different opinions. We'll get to some of those opinions right now.
Yeah, it started off for the majority of mock draft season, we'll call it, being Carnell Tate at 6 to the Browns. Almost everyone kind of had that as the, at least general consensus pick, but over the last 2 weeks, we're starting to see a bit of a change of tune. Last week in Peter Schrager's Intel mock draft, he had the Browns taking Spencer Fano, the offensive tackle from Utah. And then yesterday, Daniel Jeremiah, another super plugged-in ESPN, and he's not ESPN, NFL insider, mock draft expert, big board kind of guy, also had the Browns taking Fano at number 6. This was his explanation from his hit with Rich Eisen.
With 6. To me, I think you have to go with the tackle here, knowing there's going to be some other receivers later on down the board. So I'm going to go Spencer Fano, the big tackle out of Utah.
Earl, I know that thinking from Daniel Jeremiah is right in line with what you think the Browns might do at number 6. So are you buying the train of momentum that Fano is picking up here as we get closer and closer to the draft?
Yeah, I'm buying it, and I think I'm buying it for a few reasons. First of all, let me say this. I've been all over the place, just like, G and I'm sure Zach, about what the Cleveland Browns might do with pick number 6. I've changed my tune on this several times since the season ended. But lately, I've just been going back, and I'm trying to read between the lines of everything I've heard Andrew Berry say after the season ended, everything I've heard Todd Monken talk about. And all of their conversations, in my opinion, it leads back to improving the trenches. It leads back to the emphasis being, yeah, we know we got to fix the offense overall, but the emphasis inside the emphasis is fixing the offensive line. Yeah. I hear them both talk about, having versatility on the offensive line. When they talk about the tackles, they're in lockstep saying, a tackle is a tackle, whether that person plays right or left. Then I hear draft experts and people I trust like yourself who tell me that when you look at the overall draft class and you look at the offensive linemen, the interior offensive linemen are pretty damn good. The tackles, not so much. It's about 5 or 6 of these dudes. Once these guys are drafted, the drop-off is massive. It's significant. When you look at the wide receivers, depending on who you talk to, if Jordan Tyson didn't have the health issues, he would probably be the clear-cut number 1 wide receiver. Others believe it's Carnell Tate, but everybody says that there's not that much separation between wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 6. So if that's the case, why not take the best available offensive lineman that's going to be there? And Fano very well might not be there when you get to 6, but let's say that he is, right? He's 6'6", 300+ pounds, but is lean. He's very athletic, right? And the fact that he started at left tackle as a true freshman and then was willing to switch over and play the right side, it told me a couple things about him. One, that he's a team player, and he's bought into whatever it is the program trying to do. 2, we talk about technique all the time, okay? We've had that conversation on this show several times about, left tackles kick this way, right tackles kick that way. Well, he was pretty damn good at both tackle positions. And then we just sat here, us 3 last week, and talk about football IQ, how we like to have our offensive linemen having a high football IQ. So that tells me that he's versatile, that he's a team player, and he has a high football IQ. He's a guy that a lot of the draft experts, at least that I trust, say you can pencil in as a day 1 starter that can anchor the left side of your line. If somebody else was to get hurt elsewhere, you can plug him in and you can have success. Yeah. He's already good in the pass blocking game and a run block game. I believe Todd Monken wants to run some type of zone scheme when it comes to the rushing attack. Due to his athleticism, you can argue that he will be even better in that type of scheme. So to me, if they were to go Fano at 6, I don't think that's a bad pick at all. Some people think I'm crazy, but I don't think it's that bad of a pick.
You're selling and I'm buying.
My God.
You make a good case there, right? I listen to Daniel Jeremiah here and all the time. He knows his stuff. You make a great case there for the player, the person. To me, it's just philosophy, right? Like, we don't know who's going 3, 4, 5. And that's the drama of this draft. And part of what I keep saying is that's why there's so little juice with this draft. There's not one guy that multiple fan bases are like, we got to have, But if the Browns say philosophically, we screwed up the most on the offensive line. Or, hey, we know we've screwed up in other places, but we're not getting back and helping those guys until we get back on the offensive line. You're looking at a kid who's 21, a kid who can play tackle. There's only so many of these guys. Athletically, checks out. Background, checks out. everything there. If he doesn't work at left tackle, we got a really good player. So to me, they're making all sorts of evaluations, and they're moving in that building from evaluation to decision stage. But if you really just put it all into two buckets, philosophically, do we want to go this way or this way? I think line makes a lot of sense, and I think Spencer Fano makes a lot of sense if that's the choice.
It's tough because I just don't think that I don't think the Browns and a lot of people around the league have one of these dudes as the cream of the crop. Usually there's a guy or two, and then there's a drop off. Here, if I closed my eyes and just sat back and listened to what Earl was saying without any graphics, he could have been talking about Monroe Freeling, right? Like, it's the same athletic young guy, fixed the profile, good college. He played in a Power 5 school, played against some of the best guys. He could move, all those things. I think when you look at this list, there isn't one guy to me that really stands out. If any of these dudes went at 6, I would just kind of be like, okay, well, let's see if you can, because to me, it's all about the development.
Yeah.
Because all of them have a certain level of raw materials. It's up to your coach, and specifically your offensive line coach, to mold these dudes and get them in a position where one guy may be a little bit of a run blocker, one guy may have a better kick, may have better hands, maybe a more functional strength in his lower body, and it's up to you to figure out if you like that and how does that fit your system. And I think one of the difficult things is that we have now is because Todd Monken has run so many multiple systems, whether it's with Georgia or whether it's the Baltimore Ravens. It's hard to envision these guys being where you need them to be. My thing is it's tough to look at this from the Browns' perspective because the Browns have been so bad at drafting linemen and receivers. Mm-hmm. And the receiver class is kind of the same way. There's 3 guys at the top of the list, and it's a little bit of a drop. But I can squint and look at these receivers and do the same thing. Like, give me Makai Lemon, give me Tate, give me Jordan Tyson. So it's discerning which one of these guys works best for you.
Well, let me hit you with something that's a little bit staggering. It was 19 years ago that they drafted Joe Thomas, right? But they thought he could play left tackle. They thought he would immediately be ready to play. They thought he would grow into the role. They thought it'd be good. Nobody thought he was going to be this Hall of Famer. But Joe Thomas never missed a snap in his career that spanned 10 years. Until he got hurt and he didn't play. Guess how many left tackles this organization has had in the 9 years since Joe Thomas retired?
Man. Well, start games?
Games.
So it has to be 20.
It's 15.
Yeah.
And so Joel Bitonio played with Joe Thomas forever, and then he played with 15 guys next to him over the back of his career. So what I'm trying to say there is philosophically you make the decision that you would like to end that. Right? That left tackles are not easy to find. In some years it's a great receiver class, and some years it's a great guard class, and eventually you might need to find a quarterback unless this one you got takes off. Right? But like if you think this guy can play left tackle, then philosophically you make that and you give him every chance to succeed.
Yeah, I look at it. It's going to be very interesting to see how this thing is going to move down the pipeline because they could go a lot of different ways. I learned my lesson last year. They traded back. I do think trading down is one of the things that a lot of teams are doing.
Employed.
Yeah, I know.
He was going to quit if they drafted Mason Graham.
They drafted Mason Graham, and then my wife called me and said, under no circumstances are you quitting. And you didn't sign your contract to still. I said, I got it. I'm going to just go to work. So we're going to see how this thing works out. But I do think there's a list of about 10 guys that if they called their name at 6.
I don't think fans will be upset. Because there's a lot of talent there.
I agree. I think people understand the need to find premium offensive linemen, find immediate offensive linemen for this team, but to find a guy that grows into his role. And if he doesn't, he has that position versatility. You trust in his athletic profile and his makeup off the field. Like, this guy can help your team win down the road. I think that pick makes a lot of sense at number 6.
We talk basketball. We talk football. It's only right we get to the Cleveland Guardians. They're in St. Louis right now, taking on the Cardinals in the Lou. What is the Guardians looking to get done? We'll come back and talk about them coming up right here on UCSS.